Everyone. Hi, everyone. Welcome. We're going to let everyone take just a moment to arrive. If you're getting here already, welcome. You might go ahead and put in the chat where you're coming from if you like. And if you wanted, maybe how you're joining us. Maybe just one word that comes to the surface. We're also going to be together for about 45 minutes. So think about other things you might need, some hydration if you want, something to snack on. This is a total come as you are session. So we're going to be doing some breath. We're going to be learning about the nervous system a little bit. We're going to be tuning into our bodies and learning about some of the signals. Hi, Carrie. Welcome from welcome. And so as we're arriving, go ahead and start kind of coming into the space. And before we do anything, hi from Southern California, Jenny. There's no special right way to do any of this. So there's no special techniques tonight. There's however you want to do it, however much you want to engage in it, it's all here. And so there's no correct ways. You can do this sitting down, you can do it lying down, you could do it standing or walking, you could do it leaning against something. So however you find yourself right now is just, it's a good moment just to arrive. And so feel free, as you get started, you can keep your eyes open or you can close them. And you can change your mind at any point. And so we're going to be doing a couple things with our hands. We're going to be doing a couple things with our eyes. And these are all going to be just experiments and opportunities. I do a lot of work in the nervous system. I work in surgery during brain or spine surgery, monitoring the nervous system for the surgeon. And so over that time, I've encountered thousands of people and thousands of nervous systems. And what I have found is that there are these signals that are being created by our nervous system and our bodies all the time. And I see it when we're awake, and then I see it once patients go to sleep. We can see it on our computer screens and help the surgeon make the surgery safer. And so over that time, I found that in my own body, and really all of our bodies, we have these gateways, these doors into our nervous system that we can access definitely in these types of sessions when we have a little bit of space, but also maybe in moments where we don't feel like we have as much space. And so just continue to arrive. There's no need to clear your thoughts. There's no need to breathe deeply. There's definitely no need to arrive calm. It's an invitation to bring everything with you that you have going on for the day. It's something that we can have it all here with us. We can use our breath and we can use our body, and we can use each other in this community as people joining every minute from all over the place. United States, have some other places joining globally. Welcome. And so as we're joining here together and breathing and doing these exercises together, it's a nice spot to begin, not to fix our nervous systems. That's not our goal. And really, we're not going to have a goal. It's going to be not about forcing ourselves to feel different, but mainly like a small lab with experiments on awareness. And so a lot of our nervous system is taken in through our senses, through our eyesight, through our feeling, through our feet. And so in our modern day, we have so much going on through the day. We're carrying a lot. We're carrying it for ourselves. A lot of us are caring for other people. And so all of those things are signals that the nervous system and our body as a whole and our environments are taking account of. And so with all that, it's a lot for the brain to process all at once. And so sometimes it takes a moment to slow down and to pause and then just to notice. and noticing not to change anything. It's just bringing this awareness before we might need to do anything, before intervention. So there's this moment of just noticing. And I found that surgeons use these types of techniques when they're doing long surgeries and keeping their focus. They have ways of regulating themselves so that they can stay in this steady mode. And so we can't have that steady mode going on all the time, but we might be able to learn a few ways to access it. And so that's what we're going to explore tonight. And so as we're hitting here, we're going to go ahead and get started. You might put in the chat how you're arriving. It could be one word. Be curious, hopeful. Hi, Sarah. Could be overwhelmed. All these things are welcome here with us tonight. Could be busy. There's no right answers. There's no wrong answers. Tired. Definitely. And so just take a moment just to let that sit. Whatever your answer is, and maybe you don't have an answer. It's okay not to have an answer. And we don't need to reach for one here. Maybe one will surface while we're together. Maybe not. We'll just see. We'll just stay curious and open. And so what we'd like to do is we're just going to use that as information. And so let's go ahead. One of the things that I like to do as we're arriving is to notice how we are. So notice ourselves in the space that we're in. And what does that mean? So I'm noticing the light. Where's the light coming from? Maybe what color the light is, whether it's warm or whether it's natural. And maybe take in the brightness. And you're just taking it in softly. And seeing what's here in your environment, as it's one of the things that we're going to talk about, is a layer in our nervous system. And as you're looking around, you might take in maybe a few shapes. It can be on anything. Squares, circles, weird shapes. Those are your shapes. You might also check out some colors if they're coming in. Maybe just 2 or 3. Could be on the same shapes or different shapes. And you see, our brain and our nervous system's been taking all this in the entire time we've been together so far. And so we're just bringing a soft awareness. And we're bringing ourselves into that moment. And we're using our eyes. And we're using our focus on our eyes. And our focus and our eyes take up a lot of room in our brain and our nervous system. And so we can use them as a way of thinking about input coming into the body through information. And so you can let your eyes gaze and just soft. And now, if you'd like, just bring your attention to your hands. Don't move them yet. Just notice how they already are. Are they gripped? Are they resting naturally? And you might check them out and look at them. And you might make a small choice. We're going to make a number of small choices today while we're together. And we're making these small choices all day long as soon as we get out of bed. And what we can do with the small choice with our hands and with our eyes is that we can start to build a little resilience in our choices when it comes to bigger items that we're facing through the day. And so it's just one item. And if we can just notice our hands and just see, going a step further, maybe make a choice to put your hands palms up, palms down. or have them exactly where you are and don't move them. No right answer. And however you have them now, check in with what you can feel as far as sensation. If you have your palms up, check out to see if you can feel the air on your palms. Is the temperature different or similar? Maybe rub your fingers together and sense what that sensation is. Are they smooth? Are they rough? And you might bring them together and just rub them together. Gentle. And just sense. Can you sense one side and the other? And just notice, what was I able to sense just then? Temperature, texture, color. Maybe I'm wandering. Maybe I'm planning something in the future already. Or maybe I'm remembering something that I needed to do. And that's okay. That's all welcome. You see, healthy brains create thoughts all day long. And so, if we're thinking, that might just be a layer that's happening in movement with our breath, with our hands. And so, the practice is just to gently return. Return to your hands if you catch yourself drifting, and do it so with that curiosity. And so our hands, they take up a lot of space in our brains. And so we monitor them during brain surgery, especially if there's something that's close to them, because they take up about a third of this area called the motor and sensory cortex, which all of our feeling and all of our movement come from. And so for me, this is information that says the hands are this doorway into figuring out and maybe just understanding and noticing what's going on with my nervous system right now. And I might be able to clue in on my hands if they're sweaty or if they're gripped. And it's not necessarily a moment to change anything. See, the practice with the awareness is to just notice how they are. It's just information. If they are gripped, I always like to use the thing of how much effort and how much ease is going into that. If I have my hands gripped, and maybe my thoughts are gripped on something I'm about ready to do, then likely my breath might also be gripped. And also, my body might be tense. My shoulders might be up. Or maybe my jaw is tight and feels tense. Or maybe I have a pain somewhere in my body. Maybe there's some story that's going on. It keeps coming back about an injury, an illness. Maybe there's been some change in our bodies recently. And that's information too. You see, I see a lot of folks with changes in their bodies, changes in their mobility, changes in their sensation. And so the first thing to do is just to notice, what is my feeling right now? And to notice that not everybody has the same feeling and the same sensation in their hands, the same movement in their arms and legs. And so to be able to notice inside of our own bodies is not magic. It's a way that the brain is able to process information in a clear way. And that's often what the brain is looking for, is clear information, clear signals coming from the body, clear signals coming from our breath, clear signals coming from our hands. And they don't necessarily start that way at baseline. How many of you wake up maybe in intense mode? How many of you maybe wake up and are already in the day before it begins? And so the morning time, or any time, if it surfaces, it might be an opportunity to go to one of those doors. Right now, we've just talked about our hands. And just to notice what's going on there. You see, the hands are wired directly into the brain. And so it's not something that we can change the electrical information that's going on. But what we can do is we can notice it. And that may be enough to shift another layer. And so check in on your hands right now and see if you want to make a choice again. Palms up or palms down. Leave them exactly as they are. And see if you can stick with that choice for the next little while. If you feel the urge to change it, do so. But make a choice here that feels more interesting. See if there's an invitation here to see if what you've chosen is maybe automatic. And maybe not. Maybe it's already a new choice. Maybe it's already the most interesting. And just see. And now let's go back to our eyes and our face for a while. You see, our eyes are constantly taking in information from the environment. They're scanning the environment for threats, even if threats aren't present. Even if threats are coming in as notifications on our cell phones. The eyes are taking in. And so they may be engaged in an alert mode when we may not need it. And it's a moment to say, am I over-efforting here? Is there any available ease inside of my eyes? And what does ease even look like around our eyes? So the eyes are some of the fastest muscles in the body. They're moving constantly, searching. Even while we're sleeping, they're moving. And so what we can do is we can just notice. You can notice with our hands. You can use that tool if you like, or you can just sense. Can I sense any space around my eyes? Is there any more ease available? Even 2%? Maybe widening my gaze? Maybe lowering my eyelids? You see, our eyelids are these dimmer switches that we have built in for our nervous system. And not always is it that we're overstimulated. We are definitely stimulated a lot with our modern technology, notifications coming in through our ears, a lot of thinking and planning going into our day, caring for others, caring for loved ones, completing our tasks and our goals. And sometimes it might just be too bright outside. And we might be straining because we're walking outside on a sunny day. And so it's just a moment to notice. Make a choice with your eyes. Maybe leave them open and see if you can be curious and not let anything in the room be sticky for you and grab you, keep your attention. See if you can stay here. Maybe you've wandered into planning. Maybe you're thinking about something way in the past. Maybe a pain in your body keeps surfacing. And the practice is just to come back, gentle, curious, and come back into your hands. Feel the temperature. Come back into your eyes. See how much input's coming in. Then make a choice there. Lids down. Maybe sending a safety signal. And just notice what happens when you do close your eyes if you have them closed. You feel safe, vulnerable, under threat, and just notice. And right next to our eyes and in our face is our jaw. And our jaw is one of the strongest muscles in the body, and it's constantly clenched. We're clenching it when we're thinking, we're clenching it when we're driving in traffic, clenching when we're at work. And it's another signal of, I'm curious, is there any more ease available in my jaw? So what does ease in my jaw look like, and what is effort? So you can feel with your hands. You can feel the tissue. And you can see, what is the density here? Does it feel supple? Does it feel hard or soft? And then if you like, I'm going to have you try something with your tongue, and I'm going to do it with mine. And it's a simple invitation to place your tongue for a moment in between your teeth on either side or in front. And when you have it there, take in a gentle breath. And you can release it when you'd like. You keep it there if you like. You see, we can't have our jaw clenched if our tongue is in between our teeth. So our tongue can be a little tool that we can use to just see, is my jaw clenched? Can I stick my tongue in between my teeth and keep my mouth closed? Because if my tongue is in between my teeth, I can't close my teeth together. And so you might try that, and you might give it an easy breath. And I can do it here together. And maybe we'll do 3 breaths together. And we're going to sync them up in our own space. So they're all our own breaths. There's over 50 of us now on the call. And we're all just going to open up a little window and breathe your breath. No special breath, no deep breath. However it comes right now. And as you're finishing your breaths together, you might notice now, where are my hands? And you might check in with sensation, texture. And you might notice ease there, or effort. Just sensing if it's different than it was. No right or wrong answer. We're just checking in. And from there, you might move back to your eyes. And check in. Does it feel heavier? Awkward? Open? Nothing? Nothing may be the answer. Sometimes nothing obvious changes. The change may be that we simply paid attention and that we noticed. And so we can do the same with our shoulders now. And so what we might do is just check in. How are the shoulders already? And you want, feel them. Feel either side. Feel it with your hands. And check into what we're feeling here. Is it the same information? Is it dense? Supple? They feel heavy, achy. They carry a lot on our shoulders, carry a lot in our necks, especially with our devices, down on our phones, down maybe looking at our laptops. And so it's just a moment to notice where in right this moment, what's in my shoulders as far as sensation. And you might even give a little effort. And how do we give effort to our shoulders? You might raise them up just a little bit. Just bring a little bit of activation to that area. And let it down. Easy. And just sense. Now what we might do is let's shoulders up, if you like. And let's see if we can get a nice gentle breath while our shoulders are giving effort. And so while my shoulders are up, I'm going to take a gentle breath in through my nose and out through my nose. And then maybe release and check in. And see if you can keep that gentle breath. You might check in with your hands here. You can put them on your shoulders and let them rise and fall with your breath. Check in with your hands. See if they're palms up, palms down. Check in on the choice that you made with your eyes. Are you still closed? Are you still open? No need to change anything. You might notice if your thoughts are moving here. And sometimes our thinking has a way of coming into the room without us knowing. And then we're already in the middle of it. Then we notice, we're somewhere else. And it's an invitation to come back, return. And come back to your hands. Come back to your eyes. Check in with the shoulders. Checking in on ease and effort in those places. And when you're there, see if you can move into checking into your breath. And so our breath is another thing that's happening all day. Whether we think we have a technique or not, it's going to arrive. And then it's going to leave. That's just how it works. Just like brains are creating healthy thoughts, our breath is there all day, bringing us oxygen into our system, bringing it into our nervous system, and it's doing it through our nose and through our mouth. Now, through our nose, we have special nerves that live there. And so if we breathe through our nose, there's a couple things that happens that not everybody can breathe through their nose. But it does warm the air that's coming in and out of the body. And it also hurts special nerves that help oxygenate the air and the tissue and the blood. And so when we breathe in and out through our nose, we're just using that as an extra filter for us. And so if it's available, a breath I like to use is more of it's not a deep breath, but it's a 360-degree breath. And so we can actually activate and stimulate certain nerves, not by breathing deeply. The breath is more of a, where can I feel it? And so you might take your hands, You might notice where you have them currently, the choice you made earlier. And if you like, you might touch your ribs, and you might just feel each side. Our nerves are also located right between our ribs, and so there might have sensation there. You might just feel, what does this feel like? What's the density here? And then you might try to breathe in, if you like, easy and natural, and you might actually feel, can I feel expanding into my ribs? Maybe, maybe not. We're just experimenting, no right answers. And if you like, you might take one hand or the other, and you might reach around and actually touch your mid-back. You might take the other one, and you might place it right under your sternum, right at the top of the squishy. And you might try to take a gentle breath here. And you might actually envision it going towards your backhand. Your spine is there, and your diaphragm is in the front. And so let's try a few breaths together, your own pace. And you might just sense in, can I feel my hands moving as I breathe? And what am I sensing into? We're sensing into that same quality of ease and effort. Is there ease here in my breath? Gentle? Natural? Maybe there's effort. And that's okay. That's just noticing. When we breathe in a 360-degree direction, we're able to stimulate a vagus nerve in our diaphragm area. It runs through our spinal cord, through most of the nervous system. And it's not enough to maybe shift an entirety of your feeling. That's not a goal that we're here for. The noticing is the signal. The noticing of the breath and being able to check in and see, is there ease here? Is there effort? And then invite yourself to stick with it for a moment, to sit in it for a gentle breath, just to see if it moves. And we can do that with our hands. We can bring attention there. We can bring attention to our body, to our face. And we can also bring attention to our thoughts. And we can bring a curiosity there that may let them move like the sensations that we feel on our hands. And we may let them move like the air around the room. And maybe they're going to visit quite a few times tonight while we're together. Maybe the same thoughts coming back. Maybe there's new thoughts, new planning. Just check in. What's here? And give it a gentle breath. And just notice what's surfaced, if anything. And this invitation to let the thoughts maybe move. Maybe they don't. Maybe they're here for the entirety. That's okay. You're just noticing. You see, the brain has an information limit on how much it can process at a time. And so even though we're multitasking in the world, and even though our mind is going back and forth between thinking, pain, curiosity, hope, joy, Maybe it's bouncing between a lot, frequently. And you're just noticing. Maybe the pace is slow, natural. You're just continuing to gather information. And each time you drift, come back to your hands, come back to your eyes, and check in on your choice. Maybe make a new choice. There's no right answers. And so we're constantly looking for information. Our nervous system's constantly in conversation with us inside of our bodies, along with what's outside of our bodies. And so all of this is taken into account: light, sound, distance, people around you, noises around you. Wherever you are in the world, there's signals coming in through the environment. And we can just use that to notice too. And so as we're noticing, you might check your eyes. You might open them again and start to take in those shapes that came back earlier, or maybe new shapes. You might check in with the light. Has the amount of light changed? Is it brighter? Is it darker? You might notice some shadows. And then you might look around and you might just check out in your space. Can I see effort and ease happening in my space? Can I see the chair or the ground underneath me is providing myself with ease while applying effort to support me? Can I sense in that my back and my spine are active in any position that you find yourself in, whether you're lying down, you're sitting, standing, or leaning? There's some activity happening. And so we can notice ease and effort in our spine and see just where it's at. There's no need to change it. And you might just sense the floor, your chair. You might give your whole body a sense. Not scanning. See if you can bring yourself into some of those areas we were visiting. Eyes. How are my hands? What am I noticing at my shoulders? What am I noticing in the quality of my thinking and my thoughts as they go? What am I sensing in the room? And this is all information we can take in. I'm taking it in all day. I'm taking it in while we sleep. We just don't know it. And so you might sense in right now, where's the easiest part to tap into? Where's the easiest part to notice? Your hands, face, the floor under your feet, could be your jaw, your shoulders. Maybe the clearest signal is discomfort. Maybe the noise from the discomfort is clouding out the signal of ease. And that's okay. Noticing may not shift it, but noticing can help you sense in to those layers. And then when you're there, the practice is to not change it, but to bring ourselves into a noticing of what's happening in our breath, what's happening in our hands, what's happening in our shoulders and our jaw. And it's an invitation to see that maybe a signal of a tight jaw or a tense shoulder might also go along with the signal of an upset stomach or back pain or something else in your day that feels sticky and heavy. And so when we're sensing into one of the layers, other than thinking about it, we're able to check in on our nervous system and our body and just to see, maybe we're gripped. And if we are, maybe there's opportunity to bring a little more ease in that moment. And that might be enough over time to start to build these habits, easy habits in our day, not easy because they're come to top of mind or because I'm not always going to remember to do them. There's a level of ease that can come when you just happen to notice any of it. With that curious, what's here? Instead of saying, what's wrong with this? And that's often the practice that we have to use during brain surgery and spine surgery to keep patients safe. You see, the body signals are changing all the time, and sometimes the signals are confused, and sometimes the signals are not sending the information clearly. And so we don't react immediately. It's an opportunity to say, what's changed? What's changed here, just now? And we're able to use that information to help us make solid decisions in the moment. And we can use that out in our days to help us make solid decisions as we're moving through the world. And so now let's widen back your attention, noticing all the places supporting you, noticing if anything changed in our time together. And bring yourself into your breath. And let's take a few breaths together. As a community, there's nearly 100 of us here tonight. And as we're joined here together, even though we're in our own spaces, you can all hear my voice. And you all can sense each other, taking the time and taking the curiosity in community, a community of people joining to understand our nervous systems better and understand some of these signals that often go missed in our modern day world. And so sometimes they're subtle. And so we may need to take the time to practice. And what does that look like? Practice looks like returning to your hands. Could look like checking in on your jaw, your eyes. Maybe it's giving a quick check on your thoughts. Saying, what's here? What's the quality? and then seeing if it can move on its own, like your breath. No special technique. And as we're wrapping up here tonight, see if there's any of this you can take with you. See if there's someone else that you might be able to extend an easy or gentle breath to. A loved one, a pet. And as we're taking the time together, you might ask yourself, how am I carrying it today? And just see what surfaces, if anything. No judgment, no right answer, and just noticing. And so as we close, go and bring yourself back in, check on your hands, check on your shoulders, and check on your eyes and your jaw. And remember, it just takes a moment. And you can do this while checking email, walking into work, waiting in line, when someone's tone changes. These little things are here. I appreciate you all spending time with me tonight. I'm going to be doing some music later at 8, just checking on some sound. I'm going to be doing a live session on Friday at 7:30 p.m. And tonight I'll be doing an 8 o'clock, just quick checking in on sound, making sure that the piano sounds good, checking in that y'all can hear the quality well, and see if they need to make any adjustments. We're going to be back here next week at 7, 45 minutes again, checking in on our nervous system. We'll be learning some new stuff about the nervous system, a little bit about sleep next week, and I'd love to hear in the comments about what resonated here. Where did you go to in your bodies? Did you find that your jaw was easiest? Did you find that your jaw was most tense? Did you use your hands? I'm seeing that some of you went to your feet. And our feet also take up a lot of nervous system information into our brains. Another great tool. Yeah, Angie. Some people sleep, so our bodies are doing these things while we're asleep too. Sometimes we're asleep when we're tense. You know, we wake up tense, and our bodies have been tense the entire night during sleep. And that can impact our bodies during the day. You know, if we're sleeping and we think that we're sleeping soundly, but we're still waking up fatigued, and we're still waking up with maybe a sense of dread. Totally. And it's interesting, Angie here in comments has found some tools for the hands. And it sounds like it takes a little time, and some of these things go back to when we were children. Some of these things can live in the nervous system. A trauma, a situation, an injury. And it's not to say that it's living right there in the tissue. That's where it is. It's that pain right there. It's a signal in the system. And so we've been gathering this information our entire lives. And so, of course, the information is this culmination of everything we've experienced. And so we're going to carry that with us through our day. And so that's why we carry things into this session. We carry our lives into here together. And then we carry it out too. We carry it out with new tools, new awareness, and then an ability to share. So thank you all. I'll see some of you in about 10 minutes at 8. Take care.